Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a video on all four of the tier 10 British heavy tanks. So we're going to start off with the Valour, then talk about the Chieftain, then talk about the Super Conqueror, and then talk about the FV215b, explain some of their statistics, and then hopefully in some of the gameplay you will see how each of them are different, and you should hopefully see that by some of their statistics as well. And this especially links up with the fact that there is an on-track going off at the minute to pick one of the other three British heavy tanks that are the tech tree ones. I just threw in the Valour as well so we could have all four of the British tier 10 heavy tanks, so that you get to see all four of them in action. So if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help. And yes, we're starting off with the Valour, which is the premium tier 10 British heavy tank, which is also, it's technically the T95 FV4201. This is just the Valour version of it. Both those tanks are exactly the same. So let's talk about the old statistics of the Valour, or the T95 FV4201. So this tank has APCR rounds as standard, with 270 pen and 440 alpha damage, with 1150 meters a second shell velocity, which is pretty damn nice. You've got premium APCR with 322 penetration for 440, and with 1334 meters a second shell velocity, which means your premium round is so much quicker than your standard round. And the gun handling on this tank is one of those that feels really great when you fire a premium APCR, but you really feel the difference in the standard shell velocity when you switch back to it. It's one of those things that's, it's one of those really annoying ones where the standard shell velocity, or sorry, the standard shell is just so much worse than the premium one, and it always is really annoying. I'm always an advocate for wishing that the shell velocity on the premium and the standard round switched round, so that the premium round had better penetration, but had worse shell velocity, you know. But hey ho. You've got HE rounds with 140 penetration for 530 alpha, with 1067 meters a second shell velocity as well, which means they are the slowest shell you've got on the tank. But that 140 pen HE is fantastic. It means you can pen so many lightly armoured tanks that you can just absolutely trash the poor things with that fantastic HE round. You've also got a 46 kilometers an hour top speed, with 850 horsepower, which has a 14.17 horsepower per ton ratio, which means generally you do hit the 46 kilometers an hour, but you kind of want to try and negate the ground resistances on this tank so that it can hit that top speed. Because that top speed is one of the bonuses of this tank versus the other ones, is the fact that you do have a very good top speed, just like the Chieftain, and you're quite easily hitting it, so you can use the mobility to get this pretty damn nice gun into place. You also have 400 meters of view range, which is great, means you can spot for yourself like most of the tier 10s. You've got an 11-second base reload, which with the setup I got equals a DPM of 3,291, which is the lowest out of the four British tier 10 heavy tanks. This tank is definitely nowhere near the levels of the others for DPM, but it's still pretty okay. You've got 2.1 second aim time, which means the tank does aim in very, very quickly, with a base accuracy of 0.35, and with the setup I've got, a rotational accuracy of 0.92, and an on-the-move accuracy of 1.73. Now, this is where you've got to run gun stabilizer, because that's where that gets it down to that level, which is really, really damn nice for the Valour. The others don't really actually have to run the gun stabilizer, because their guns are just so much better than this gun is. But yeah, that's the statistics of the Valour there. And I say the gun handling on this tank is nice when you get it down to a good level, and it's actually really good when you fire premium rounds, let's say, just because it's got the same problem that the Object 780 has, where the standard round is pretty okay, right? It's pretty decent, but the gun handling just feels like a world above as soon as you load gold, because the shell velocity, it's not even the penetration, it's just because that shell velocity goes up another level, and it's fantastic. Like I say, I'm always an advocate for making the shell velocity worse on the premium round and having better pen, and then being the opposite way round, right, as the standard round. But anyway, what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment for this tank? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, and Rapid Aim. Rapid Aim to get the turret traverse faster so that I can get this gun on target as quickly as possible, plus the turret rotation speed on this tank is a little bit slow, so I just want to make it so that I can get this turret as faster than the tracks. All the gun perks, so that, again, I can get this gun as good as possible, because with those gun perks and the gun stabilizer, this gun becomes really, really damn nice to use. Trap Mechanic, because I'm a brawling heavy tank. I use that same crew for the Chieftain as well, for the exact same reasons, although on the Chieftain I also don't run the gun stabilizer, so having all the gun perks is a nice thing to use. And then in terms of equipment, I do run the advanced loader, the gun stabilizer, and optics. Gun stabilizer, like I say, to get that accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible. The advanced loader to make the DPM better because it is the slowest DPM out of all the British heavy tanks. And optics to be able to get my view range up to 512 meters of view range. So yeah, the Valour. What do you do to play it? Essentially do what I've done in this game, which is get hull down. This tank, just like all the others, or should I say just like the Chieftain and the Super Conqueror, are insistent on playing them hull down. You get them to a ridgeline, and then you just farm. Whereas the other two is farm with the fantastic DPM. This is just farming with consistency, because that is what the Valour T95 FV4201 does. It farms consistently. It just pumps out consistent damage. The 440 alpha is nice. The penetration is great. Your armor on the turret is absolutely phenomenal. Your hull armor isn't the best, but you can side scrape with it. And yeah, you just use the fantastic 46 kilometers an hour top speed to be able to get yourself to a ridgeline, get to the aggressive positions, and go hull down and laugh. And that is something that this tank can do better than something like the Super Conqueror, is get to the really aggressive hull down locations far quicker than that tank can. The Chieftain is a bit more on par with it in that regard. But we finished that first game with 6 kills, 6.5k damage, the ace tanker, the high caliber, the top gun, the sniper, 1762 base XP. A pretty damn nice game there for the FV, or the T95 FV4201, the Valour, which is a pretty damn nice premium heavy tank. It is expensive though, as all the tier 10 premiums are. But we're on to the second replay, and the second replay is the first of the Tech Tree British tier 10s that you can get with the new on-tracks that has come out, and that is the Chieftain, one of my original favourites of the ages. The Chieftain, number one, looks amazing, always has done, British favourite, as always. Number two, the tank has always played really nice. It's always been a very enjoyable tank to play. And yeah, it's just, I've always loved it. I always preferred it to the Super Conqueror and the FV215b by miles. It was just so much more fun to play. So, what are the statistics of the old Chieftain? Well, we've got APCR standard with 270 penetration on those rounds for 400 alpha, which means it is 40 alpha less than the Valour. But you've got 1350 meters a second shell velocity on the premium round, which is only slightly slower, but it's not going to be much noticeable difference really. Unlike the Hesh, which has 140 pen, which is just like the Valour, for 515, but it is 671 meters a second shell velocity, which is exceptionally slow. So if you load the Hesh, this tank's shells do loop, so bear in mind that you really have to give very good lead to use the Hesh rounds. You've got a 46 km an hour top speed, with a 750 horsepower engine for 13.64 horsepower per ton ratio, which means that you do hit the top speed of 46 kilometers an hour, but you do really kind of want to give it a little bit extra because, yeah, it can be a little bit sluggish sometimes. It's not quite got the horsepower, and also sometimes it does struggle with the terrain resistances a little bit, which means that it's not always guaranteed to hit it. But if you do run the traction system, you can go much quicker. I don't, because I struggle with driving with it sometimes if I do that, and I run the powertrain instead. But besides that, you've got that 46 kilometers an hour top speed, which is definitely quite nice. And let's say you can hit that top speed, especially if you're going on a downslope. You've got the 400 meters view range, which means you are likely to be able to spot for yourself very easily. Again, you get up to 512 meters of view range. You've got 8.25 second reload, which is amazing, with a DPM with the setup I've got of 3,988. Phenomenal DPM, which is what the Chieftain is known for. You've got a 1.5 second aim time, which is unbelievably good. It just means this gun is aimed in super duper quickly. With a 0.32 base accuracy, with the setup we've got 0.9 accuracy during rotation and 1.32 accuracy during movement, which are two very good statistics, which means this gun doesn't bloom out that much. And add in the 1.5 second aim time, it just aims in so quickly, and it is always ready to go, this gun, which is one of the things that the Chieftain is very good for. Get yourself hull down and then just farm away with this gun, because oh boy, it is absolutely phenomenal. And the DPM does shred very quickly. So what do I run in terms of equipment on this tank? Because like I say, I do run the same crew as I did on the Valour. Well, I run loader, optics, and the powertrain. Now, I run the powertrain to get myself up to 48 kilometers an hour top speed, and it gives me a little extra oomph in the engine as well with that powertrain, because naturally the powertrain does give you that extra 5% horsepower, which buffs your horsepower to ton ratio up to 14.32, which is an extra little bit on top. It just helps it get up to that 48 kilometer an hour top speed a little bit easier, and it helps it get up to that top speed generally a lot quicker as well, which is why I run it. You could run the traction system, like I say, to get above 50, and you will hit 50, but the track traverse then becomes super duper quick and way quicker than the turret traverse, and that's just something that irritated me. So that for comfort, for me, for comfortability for me, that's why I run the powertrain over the traction system, because that's just what I prefer and how the tank feels. Is it better to run the traction system versus powertrain? Well, like I say, I do believe that is completely down to you and how you want to play the tank, and it's completely how you feel comfortable with the tank. For me, the powertrain is the way I go. Just because, like I said, the track traverse is, well, you all know how bad my driving is, and with the track traverse, it just gets even worse, which is, yeah, annoying. So this game in the Chieftain, we are on El Haloof. We've got 5.2k damage so far, with 1,030 assistance and 3 kills, and we're now just trying to get some shots into this 263's lower plate. You saw us clutch a shot into the ground a minute ago because, well, a terrible shot, but we do manage to track and pen the Object 263 there, and he gets wrecked. I didn't want to track the 263 and then go round him, because I feared there was something big lurking in the backgrounds, and there it was. It was the 114 SP2. I did not want to take the shot from that guy, but now we're going to close the distance, so I'm just trying to be very, very careful, because I'm a one-shot within reason for the 114 SP2, and there's two other TDs, which is a Ruthless somewhere, which we don't want to take a hit from, and a Waffle Panzer IV. Now, if the Waffle Panzer IV's got the big gun, obviously he can kill us in one shot. That's not a good time. If he's using the small gun, then he can kill me in 2 shots, but we still, again, don't really want to take the hit if we could. But we're just pushing as quickly as possible to get under this ridgeline. There's the Ruthless. He's being shot at and pressured by 2 other TDs, and there's also a heavy tank and a TD looking at him. So I think, okay, you know what? That Ruthless is preoccupied. You can see he's just got shot by someone else. Let's start to get to work on this 114 SP2. We get a shot through his turret front, and he hasn't fired yet. We break the turret. So I think, okay, you know what? I'm going to put a shot through his side. He tries to put a shot at us, but with his broken turret, he's taking a little bit too long to get the shot in. We put another shot into that 114 SP2, and I thought I was safe, but apparently the Ruthless wasn't being pressured anymore, and thus he got a shot into our side. With the 114 SP2 firing there, we should have just pressured him, but hey-ho. We still finished the game with 3 kills, 6.8k damage. The first class, the Confederate, the high caliber, 1,644 base XP. A pretty damn nice game there for the Chieftain Mk6. Again, just showed what you have to do in the Chieftain. Get yourselves into a hull-down position, and farm, and just use the excellent DPM that tank has. I mean, nearly 4k DPM is just insane, and it shreds so fast, and it's really a beautiful thing. But we're on to the third replay, and this third replay is the Super Conqueror, a tank that is still an exceptionally good tier 10 heavy tank. It's just super boring. To me, it feels very lethargic, and it's just that one trick, well, the 2-trick pony really, because it's very good at side scraping, because it's got very good side armor. But it's also amazing hull down. And this tank just wants you to get hull down and farm with the great DPM, the fantastic gun, and the brilliant turret armor that it has, as well as the fact that it's like the immovable mountain, right? Once it gets hull down, it just laughs. But it's just because it's so slow, everything else about the tank just feels that little bit lethargic. And to me, just isn't that much fun, considering the Chieftain is so much fun and it's so good to play. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But if you were to grind it, it is an exceptional tier 10 heavy tank. It really is. So what are the statistics of the Super Conqueror? Well, it's got AP as standard, with 259 penetration for 400 damage, with 1,067 meters a second shell velocity, with premium APCR of 326 penetration for 400 damage, with 1,334 meters a second shell velocity, which is so much better than your AP rounds. Once again, a full APCR on this tank feels amazing. You have HE with 120 penetration for 515 alpha for 1,067 meters a second shell velocity, same as your AP, which are very nice HE rounds for the lightly armored tanks. If you can use those HE rounds, it's glorious, and they're far more easy to use than the Chieftain's HE as well, just like the Valour's HE is. You've got a 34 km/h top speed, which is, again, it's fairly slow and lethargic. For 950 horsepower engine as well, which gives you a 12.34 horsepower per ton ratio, which, again, is just, it just makes it feel a little bit slow and sluggish, this tank. And it just adds to that lethargic feel of it. You've got 400 meters of view range as well with this tank, which means you can get up to that, again, that same view range of 523 with the setup I've got as well. You've got 8.7 second reload, which is a DPM of 3.8 DPM, 3.8k DPM, nearly 3.9k DPM, which is great. 2 second aim time, which is fantastic, with a 0.33 base accuracy, and with the setup I've got, an accuracy of 0.69 during rotation, giggity, and a 0.94 accuracy during movement with the setup I've got, which adds to how phenomenal this gun is. The accuracy during rotation and movement is utterly fantastic, and we don't run a gun stabilizer because of that, but just because of how good that is. It is amazing, the accuracy on this tank. And with the 2 second aim time as well, it just means you're always ready to go. The things that are annoying about this tank for me is just the fact that you got a 34 km/h top speed, which is a little bit slow, but it's not that bad for a heavy tank. It just feels a bit slow for me. And the hull rotation speed is 26 degrees a second, which is exceptionally slow as well, which adds to the lethargicness of the tank. So what do I run in terms of equipment and a crew? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Clutch Braking, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. The 3 gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as possible, because I'm not running the gun stabilizer. Clutch Braking to get that track traverse up as much as possible, because it is slow. Then Advanced Loader, Optics and Vents, to be able to get the best out of all the DPM, the best out of everything in this tank. The optics to get the view range up as high as possible, and the loader to keep the DPM flowing on this tank, because once it catches something out, it shreds very quickly. Now, you could run the traction system to get up to 37 kilometers an hour and add to your track traverse, which actually could be quite handy just for the track traverse alone. But to be honest, you do struggle a little bit sometimes with that 34 km/h top speed on flat, so using the traction system sometimes leads to limited benefit, because you don't really quite hit the 37 sometimes. But it's down to you and how you feel comfortable with the tank. I just try and maximize everything about the tank in general. You could quite easily, like I say, run the traction system to get that better clutch braking effect, essentially, get that better track traverse, be able to swivel on the sixpence a bit easier. You can get it up to closer to 30 degrees a second, on rotation if you want to. So we're on this map, which is Hidden Village, and there's only 3 tanks left on the enemy team. We've managed 3.5k damage so far with 403 assistance. We just tried to get an RBRT shot into that 704, but it didn't quite work out, and we know roughly where the other 2 tanks are, because we can see where the Leopard is, but he is in a platoon with the Sturm Tiger, which makes me think, maybe that Sturm Tiger's over there. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to close the distance on the Leopard 1 and the tank that's in the corner to try and get across this bridge and close it if we can. If we can finish off that Leopard, that would be glorious. But sadly, the shot just doesn't quite fly true. And we're just going to keep ourselves moving, because I want to see if I can get any more shots at them, because we're not satisfied with 4.3k damage. So we snap a shot into the Sturm Tiger there, which damages his engine, but he is still focusing on the other TD that's at F8. So we track the Sturm Tiger in place. We're just going to try and keep him pinned, and as you can see, this guy's not got track mechanic, which means that we can perma-track him. So we break his engine with that shot, but no, he comes to life, uses a repair kit, starts to swivel towards us, and the Tyrann finishes him off. There's only 1 tank left on the enemy team. It was the Leopard, but he also got shut down by the Mouse. And we finished the game with a decent total there for the Super Conqueror. Finished with the victory, 1 kill, 5.7k damage, 872 assistance. The First Class, the Confederate, the High Caliber, with 1464 base XP. A pretty decent game there for the old Super Conqueror on Hidden Village. Again, just showed off what the tank is about. You can see we got up to that mid-ridge, we got hull down, and then we just started to farm away as we could. But now we're on to the FV215b, the ugly duckling, the black horse of the family, the black sheep of the family, actually, is it? It's probably the black sheep, right? It's the FV215b. It's a tank that I never used to really like, and then they've mega buffed it, and it's actually super interesting to play, but it's got a few drawbacks. It did get buffed very recently, which means that they actually buffed the little cheek armor next to the turret, which is actually a really large change for the tank. And you might be going, why is it large? Well, because people never used to aim for that weak spot when you were side scraping, because naturally you're a rear mounted turret tank. You want to be side scraping. And people wouldn't aim for that weak spot. But they'd just shoot you while you were side scraping, and they would hit it and just pen it, which was deeply frustrating. And add to that, when they hit it and shot it, they would probably set you on fire as well, which was really, really frustrating for the FV215b. But that turret cheat buff is really, really nice for it. It means you can side scrape very, very reliably in this tank now, which is fantastic. It still does suffer the problem, though, that it does get set on fire quite a lot. But they did also buff all the stuff about the FV215b a long time ago, which made its gun and DPM just utterly insane. So what are the statistics of the FV215b? Well, it's got AP standard with 259 penetration, 400 damage with 1067 meters a second shell velocity, APCR with 326 pen, 400 damage, 1334 meters a second shell velocity, same as the Super Conqueror, same with the HE, 1067 meters a second velocity for 515 damage and 120 pen. A 34 kilometer an hour top speed, just like the Super Conqueror as well, but you've got a 950 horsepower engine with the 13.57 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you do hit it. You could run the traction system quite easily and go at 37 kilometers an hour if you wanted to, and get this tank to swing on a sixpence very, very quickly. It's down to you and how you want to do it. You've got 410 meters view range, again, absolutely phenomenal view range. It means you can actually get this view range on this tank maxed up to 536 meters of view range, which is fantastic, helps you really spot for yourself. And then other statistics that this tank has as well is other stuff that is also absolutely stunning, which is 8.3 second reload, which with the setup I've got is 4,068 DPM, which is utterly incredible. 1.5 second aim time, which again is utterly fantastic, with 0.3 base accuracy for 0.52 on accuracy during rotation and 0.7 accuracy during movement with the setup I have, which makes this gun utterly incredible. Absolutely always ready to go. It is in, it just never blooms out. And then add to that, you've got a 1.5 second aim time. If it does bloom out, your gun's aimed in instantly. And then you've got 4,068 DPM with the setup I've got, which means you just shred tanks. You can side scrape really, really, really nicely with this thing as well. But you have, in this game, seen some of the other problems for the FV215b. And that is, people have fired heat at me and gone straight through the front of the turret. Or should I say straight through the cupola on the turret, which means the turret can be a bit worthless, especially when you're side scraping. And also, higher pen tanks go straight through the gun mantlet, because the gun mantlet's only like 300 effective. So they go straight through it, which is rather painful. It's rather painful when you're going, aha, I'm side scraping, good luck for it. Oh, you penned me. It's really annoying, but yeah, that's just one of those things for the FV215b, which still makes it worse for me than the Chieftain and the Super Conqueror. But it's also an acquired taste, the FV215b, because like I say, because of how amazing this gun is and how good the DPM is, you can have a lot of fun with this thing. And if you put yourselves in the right situation, yeah, beautiful times. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment? Well, I want Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Fire Extinguishing, the Steady Aim, Run and Gun, and the Fire Prevention. So we run the firefighting skills in Fire Prevention and Firefighting, right? Because this thing gets lit up on fire all the time. All the time. It's all the time. If you take a shot through the lower plate, your tank goes on fire. So you want to try and make it so that you don't get set on fire as much as humanly possible. Then the two other gun perks, because you will still want to help the gun out if you can, because you're not running the gun stabilizer. And then in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, the optics and vents to make the best of the DPM and everything about the tank, be able to spot for myself and have the as best DPM as I possibly can. Now, you saw in this game here with the FV215b, we managed to get 6.7k damage, the 3.3k assistance, the 3 kills, with the 1550 blocked, the ace tank of the Confederate, the high caliber. I hope you saw the best of what you can get out of the FV215b. You want to side scrape as much as possible, and then use the utterly phenomenal gun that this thing has. But like I say, you do have the problem that the turret can be a bit annoying at times. It just catches shots, which is frustrating from high-paying guns. But that's the 4 British heavy tanks for you. That's all the statistics and how they play. I hope that helps for your on-track grind. And maybe if the Valour ever comes back on sale, or the FV4201 T95. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.